Let's take a look at another example. Here we have a machine that costs 40,000. So remember, its initial cost or its value is your book value of 40,000. It's 7 years where we have your depreciation, and your value is €12,500. And what we want to find out in this question is what is the rate of depreciation for the machine. So again, your formula, if you're unsure, just plug all those values in where they best fit. So your D, or depreciated value, is 12,500. Your B, or your book value, 40,000. We don't know what R is, but we know that N is 7. So again, following everything that's in the formula here, plug it all in. And what we want to do is try to get in to find out what that value of R is. So we need to break down all of those figures that are associated with the brackets and move them over to the left. So your best thing to do here firstly is get rid of that 40,000, bring it onto the other side. Remember, it's a multiple of the bracket, and if it goes on the other side, it becomes the opposite of the multiple, which is the divisor into. So 12.5 divided by 40,000 will give us your 0.3125. The next thing to do is get rid of the power of 7. Just as a side note here, if you recall, or if you can imagine that this is to the power of 2 instead, and we refer to that as a square. The opposite, if you were to move the square over to the other side, it should go the opposite, just like the way the multiple became a divisor for the 40,000. So that power of 2, if we assume it's a 2, will end up becoming a square root. So instead of a square, it becomes a square root. So think of this, if you had 2 to the power of 2, that becomes 4. And the opposite of that is getting the square root of 4, which brings it back to 2. So what we need to do here then with this 7 is not to get the square root, but to get the 7th root of. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so the 7th root of 0.3125 is equal to 1 minus R. Don't let this put you off that 7th root, because if that was a square root, typically we'd have a 2 there instead of a 7. But we default it as just your root of 0.3125, and we relate that to the square root of. So you will find on your calculator a button where it has X root. So all you have to do is put in your 0.3125, press your X root button and type in 7. And then you will end up, and then press equals, and you should find out what the 7th root of 0.3125 is, 0.8469. We have that equal to 1 minus R. We need to get the value of R. So let's bring the R over to the left and the 0.8469 over to the right side of that equal sign. So R is 1 minus 0.8469, which is 0.1531, and if we multiply that by 100%, we have a rate of depreciation of 15.31%. So I hope these two examples would be a good guide into trying to break down your understanding of how to use the reducing balance depreciation formula, and maybe even go back to your video on compound interest and see the similarities between using this formula and the compound interest formula. Thanks for watching.